Hey guys, this is Dartamos with Dartamos Dominions, and I'm here with two of my old co-hosts. Say hi, Ballin.
Hello.
And I'm here with Zan as well. Hi, Zan.
Morning.
And I've got a special guest today. Perun, how are you doing, dude?
Yeah, I'm alright. Good day, mate.
So, you and I are on the same, are we on the same time zone? Is it like, almost 9 your time?
I'm 1 hour ahead of you.
Okay, it's almost 10, right?
Yep,
Oh, dude, you're lucky. You actually got to sleep in an extra hour.
I did.
Oh, dude, I'm dying. Without the coffee, this is too early for me.
Look, we all respect your sacrifice.
Yeah. So we're going into the turn real quick. Right now, Van and Airmore are still at war. I'm going to see if there's any big battles, and then we're going to move to the strategic map. So nothing. And then this is Vanheim's big force hitting the barbarians during the war. I want to see where this is at real quick, and then I want to ask, why is he doing this? Go to province. Okay, so this is his force from Ashdod that's moving over here. During a war, would you be taking independent provinces, Ballin, or would you be sending everything you can after Airmore?
I mean, if I didn't respect the player, I would be continuing to take independent provinces.
Perrin, do you think that this is actually like a move saying I don't respect the Airmore player, or is it something else?
Oh, it depends how long it's going to delay you, and it depends if someone else will take that independent province without you. Because if you're confident in a war and you think you're going to get all the other guys' provinces anyway, and Ermor's provinces aren't really important, only the fact you win eventually is, I don't see why you wouldn't clear up some indies at the same time and actually get some income to fund the economy.
Now, to revamp what happened last turn, Airmore just lost a major army and are now on the run, kind of ish. They still have, it's Airmore, so of course there's another wave coming. But Vanheim, at least for now, has gotten the upper hand. In the meantime, Satis is taking Ashdod's fort, and they've cracked it as well. Zan, real quick, what is your strategy when you come to forts? Do you normally try to take as much land as you can, or do you just focus with one big stack and go from one fort to another?
So this is something I'm still working on, but usually I'll have my break down the forts army, and that's going to go sit on the fort, and then I'll have smaller raiding groups to kind of spread around that singular fort, and they can, if necessary, they can return to the main army, but generally I'll do a fort by fort basis, slowly move the line forward.
Ballin, how exactly do you make sure that you crack a fort in one turn? Do you use indie troops?
Well, generally, giant forts are always harder to crack than human forts, but you would use whatever you have on hand. So Satis uses a bunch of cheap Satis lizards, and then he'll probably storm it with half of that stack. Actually, no, that's all Falconeers and Stowbacks. He's storming with that entire stack because that's his elite troops.
Perrin, how do you deal with Airmore as Van?
Well, he's gone to war now, so my solution to Ermor is not to fight them until you have the magic to destroy them for basically no losses, because my theory is that Ermor is a shitty mid-game power. But as they're doing it right now, the thug rating is good because you don't run into supply problems. I'd be just trying to keep them corralled until I can concentrate enough to knock some of those big stacks down, if I can supply them, and then it's just unfortunately a 1 fort at a time slog. You need to take those forts away, you need to burn those temples and work your way towards the cap slowly. I don't think there's a satisfying way to deal with Ermor at this stage in the game.
Ballin, what is he? Go ahead, dude. You might be answering my question.
So let me just enlighten you. This is Novel's either Mark 6 or Mark 7 of the most annoying Ermor build he can think of. It's a Lictor build, and he's got Blood Vengeance, Berserker, a whole bunch of resistances, and I think he took magic weapons this time. If he didn't, he took a whole bunch of MR just to be even annoying. And he's not summoned any or hardly any mages this game. He's got no deck. He just turns all his Jeff Dems every month into more Lictors. So he's a pain to fight.
And he's protected from most of the battlefield wipes that you'd normally be relying on.
Yep.
His lictors are, the rest of the troops aren't, but you still need to deal with those lictors. Perrin, how would you deal with those lictors?
look. There's not a cheap way to deal with them at this stage of the game. If you have sufficient MR on the on toughness in a center point mage, if you were like a giant nation, you might be able to handle the blood vengeance that was coming through while you put some sort of wipe up. Elementals obviously bypass that sort of resistance, but with magic weapons, fire elementals aren't your straight off answer. Is Vanheim fighting Ermor alone? Is that the situation they're in?
Pan attacked last turn, but then Marignon attacked Pan, even though Pan has fire resistance 15. It's been a weird game.
Yeah, okay. I might need a few minutes to get on top of what the Diplo is here. Just go down your checklist of what the Ermorians don't have protection against. Do they have protection from astral remotes? Do they have protection from elemental battlefield wipes, etc., until you hit something that they don't have protection to? And if they don't have protection for it in their bless, they're not going to be able to research it because he hasn't made any mages and he's got the dumpiest of dump scales, I imagine. So,
Oh, he doesn't even have luck. He has misfortune.
Yeah.
how?
He said,
So no
no,
Timu.
Timu, I'm just going to get more scales. Look at that.
Oh man, that's some Nazca shit right there.
Yes, it is very Nazca-y.
Zan, we were talking about the blesses and the elemental blesses the other day, right? Was that you that I was talking to?
I think we had a chat on this, possibly. Yeah.
Okay, and we were going back and forth about how elemental blesses, whether you should take, the resist bless or whether you should go with a stronger bless. And I think that, Perun, I'm going to actually hit you on this one because I think that the videos I saw of yours, you went with a hell bless at one point, but you're also talking about an elemental bless. Which one do you think is superior?
Depends who you are is the question, what you're trying to achieve. I avoided elemental resistances as Nazca because the goal was just to get as much killing power out of the sacreds as possible and end the battle before like elemental problems became a thing. I did take fire resistance because fire shield murders condors, and that's an example of like a nation-specific problem. Here as Ermor, I think again, the fire resistance is probably important to avoid everything being firestorm down or being flame elemental down. Whereas if I was a different nation with sacreds that weren't as concerned about fire elementals, then by all means, like just pile on the killing power as high as it'll go, or the defense power if you're something like a pony-based nation.
So
Zan,
one last point I'm going to bring up is there's a fort in Van's cap circle that Ermor took on his last push that Van has yet to reclaim.
And he's got a problem because it's not cracking very quickly. I'm sure it will within the next 1-2 turns, but he better do it quickly.
So the reason why it's not cracked is because it's a fully upgraded fort for Vanheim in MA.
So 500 siege strength. Real quick
how
to
much
go
the elves love sieging.
to go back real quick, Zan, elemental. How do you deal with an elemental bless?
So this is something Ballin taught me, sort of. Because I do the Perun thing, I'll see a unit and I'll go down the checklist of what spell or what type of magic can I do to kill it efficiently. When I see people with the elemental bless, all I see is a bunch of fire resistance, shock resistance, whatever. You just punch it in the face really, really hard. Because odds are, if it has elemental resistance, it doesn't have some melee attack, defense, or something that's going to help it there. So, water elementals, thugs, super combatants.
You found my one weakness: excessive damage. Colin, how often do you go with like something with like the full spectrum of resistances? How often do you do that?
So I don't play Blessed Nations, just like as a general, like I hardly touch them. But if I'm an elf, I will take at the very least 5 in every path, just to prevent my guys from dying to Frozen Heart. But normally I prefer stats, and I love the incarnate blesses, even if they're awful. So if I'm going to take a res build, I might just grab Heat Aura and Cold Aura and just call it a day.
So let's tie this into this fight right here, and I want to go down the different resists and ask, why do you take those resists, and does Van have that tool? So Ballin, why don't you start with that fire? What would why would you take fire resist, and does Van have that tool to fight against Paramore?
Full-size fire elementals murder just undead chaff, and Vanheim does have that tool through their cap-only dwarven smiths.
Let me pull those guys up. Now, are we going to see a lot of it or just some of it?
I prefer making dwarven smiths to Vandergots because I love elemental magic. And
Now,
Vandergots are expensive.
All right, now he's only got one in fire. That's not enough to do the full size, right?
Yes, it is. You
How?
use one fire gem to Phoenix power, and your fire 2, and then you use 2 fire gems to summon a fire elemental.
Okay, so we go to Conjuration. That's it. Phoenix Power is this one, so you need Conjuration 3, which you're going to have anyways. And then you're going to go an extra. So it's 2 gems per fire elemental, correct?
Yep, but against 100 long dead, I'm pretty sure that fire elemental comes out on top.
Okay, now would you do the little ones at all?
I mean, if I was short on fire gem, sure, but the larger fire elemental is just better.
Okay, Perun, you're up next. Shock Resist. With Shock Resist, what do you take Shock Resist for?
Well, you can Wrathful Skies an infinite amount of chaff. So unless there's something, so this is where magic weapons is important too. As an example, a properly geared Air Queen, for example, could drop into a non-magic weapons Urmor army, and probably still can get surrounded by shitty skeleton chaff, put up Wrathful Skies, and kill. Doesn't matter whether there's 400 or 4,000. It's going to eventually cut them all down.
Now, how much damage does Wrathful Skies do?
I'd have to go to Mod Inspector on that one. I think it's equivalent to like a lightning bolt, so a major shock resistance will take the edge off pretty seriously for something like a Lictor. It's also useful if you're dealing with like shock evocations just massed early on. So if you're fighting a Calum and they're Thunderstrike spamming you, but then you need a lot more shock resist in order to deal with it, because the damage is just consequently higher. But I'm pretty sure Wrathful Skies is like, I think there's a 1 in the first digit.
Okay, that's my partner that I play with. He always likes to hit that magic 15, which is minor major, and so minor shock resist, major shock resistant. I'm guessing it deals about 15 on one of the spells, but I don't know which one.
So lightning bolt is 12, thunder is 26.
It's Wrathful Skies is 15 armor negating shock.
Okay, so 15 would 15 shock resist should be able to take most of the edge off.
Yes.
Okay, and then after that is cold. Zan, what do you use cold resist for?
Frozen Heart will make a very, very cheap Water 1 mage. This is an Alteration 6 spell. It'll make a cheap Water 1 mage able to kill almost anything. Grip of Winter is something a lot of people don't expect, and will fatigue out your mages.
Yeah, the other one that comes to mind is the Nephil Aura. I always take cold resist because I play EA a lot, and if there's a Niflheim in the group, that also helps.
I heard you need
Okay.
15 for that.
You need 15 for that?
Ballin?
It's 25 on the Nephil, so cold resists against fatigue spells are doubled. So you only need 13 to basically negate it, but you can't get 13 on a normal unit, so you take 15.
Now that's fire, shock, cold. Is there another one?
Yeah, poison, but undead are immune to poison.
Okay, so poison resist. And okay, just because the common poison resist is foul vapor, right? Like that's
Yes.
the normal poison. And how much damage does that do?
That's a great question.
I mean, I probably can look it up right here.
It's something low.
Pretty sure it's
plus a
5
DNR roll.
AN. I think it's 5 AN poison. Yeah, 5 AN poison.
Should
the
you only
DNR
take
roll.
why would you take major poison resistance? Perun, let's go with you.
Because it's going to protect you from a wider range of like DRNs on that PR number. 5 is not enough to fend off 5 AN damage if it's proccing at 25% of the field every tick.
Okay, so 5's not going to cover you if you only take the 5.
Neither is the 7 that Satis has.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Satis,
Okay.
Satis will lose troops to Foul Vapors. It just loses them more slowly than its opponents.
Let's look at these guys.
Marsh Masters get real sad when they cast Foul Vapors and the battle doesn't end soon.
Okay. Oh, so even these guys with 10 are also at risk?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, if I understand how the DRN, isn't that a 1 to 6? And if it hits 6, it rolls again? Is that how that works?
Except it's 2 dice.
Yep, it's 2d6 on both
It's
sides.
opposing rolls, though, right? Yeah, so it's opposing
Yes.
dice rolls. Okay. And then
Yep.
Serpent's
And if you
Blessing
get
gives 10.
and if you get
Okay.
6s, they explode.
Which means they roll again?
Yep.
And it also gets turned to a 5, which I had no clue until somebody told me about.
So Satis might want poison resistance in its bless, and it will almost certainly want to cast Serpent's Blessing as well, at which point it is protected, or you can mass regen, so that when the poison does get through, you regen through it. But otherwise, if you take Satis up against an opponent who can run them close to the turn timer, Satis will still eventually kill most of their own stuff.
Oh, the biggest resist, the one that Ballin, why do you take magic resist?
Huh.
I knew I forgot one.
You take magic resist because anything that can kill you with an MR roll is not fun. The way to kill lictors with an MR bless is you just dust to dust them, but that's what Blood Vengeance is there to do, to prevent that from working.
Which one is Dust to Dust in?
Thaumaturgy. It's like Thom 1.
Okay. And this is an MR resist, or is it? Yeah, magic resist doesn't work on this one.
Blood
So this
Vengeance
is your.
does.
So, but once you try to kill them with Dust to Dust, Blood Vengeance will hit you back for 22 damage, and that'll kill most mages.
Yes,
Yep,
but then you take MR.
Oh, so you take him. Oh, I get it now. Okay, I'm catching on.
So if you're a giant regenning giant, you can probably live through do dust to dust on a bunch of mages, but you're not a giant regenning giant as Vanheim. You're a dwarf or a dude on a pony.
Does Pan have? Because Pan is pretty much. Well, I mean, I guess Ashdod. We could go look at Ashdod real quick. Does Ashdod have anything for tenders? Do they have any death in their scales? Oh, they have a little
Yes.
bit. Oh, they got
They have a
the
death
other mage.
mage.
Oh, they do.
The dude in
Oh,
black.
oh shit.
Zanzamite.
Okay, so if you got this guy, you put a little MR on him, you get a regen on him, and he can tank dust for dust or dust to dust hit. At
Yes.
least one. Okay, so that's also an option. What about MR on Airmore? Why would he take? Because I mean, I know you guys said like he put MR on his bless. Why does that help?
So I had a talking with Novell on ways to counter his bless. And I still might not know all the tricks, but when he told me and showed me how powerful his individual lictors were, the easiest thing that came to mind was have them turn around and fight him back, which is an MR check with Control the Dead.
It's later game. Are you talking Undead Mastery or are you talking
Control the Dead, level
Control
5.
Oh, okay,
It's
so level 5.
Control the Dead is an MR negates, and the other one, the battlefield wide one, is an easy negates. Yeah.
Okay.
With
is
the
there
Battlefield
anything?
1,
Was it?
with the Battlefield 1, when you're fighting high MR sacreds that are undead, the Battlefield 1, the goal is to grab as many long dead as you can, and hopefully the long dead you grab will be surrounding the commanders, and you just kill off the commanders.
The other thing that comes to mind, and I don't know if we have any holy mages, is oh yeah, we do. We can go look at this real quick. So where's our? Is it Word of
Stellar
Power,
Decree.
right?
No, it's
Stellar
Stellar
Decree.
Decree.
Okay, so this hits a bunch of undead, and it's a magic resist negate. Now, Novell says not Novell, I'm sorry, I talked to Lucid because he played his Airmore game, and he actually wanted this to hit. Why exactly, Perun, why did he want this to hit his lictors with Blood Vengeance?
Because then he's going to kill the priests that are casting it, so his priests can't shave off all of the long dead that aren't doing anything to them. So you want them to hit your lictors, you want them to cause some damage, but not enough to kill them, enough that they'll be able to survive, but enough damage that the priest will die to the Blood Vengeance damage and allow the rest of the Amorian army or the Lemurian army or whatever the undead horde is to advance.
So to move on to to go one step farther with that, Novell actually took MR. Why would you take at least a little bit of MR, Perun?
Because having your lictors change sides makes you very, very sad. Because having mages who can protect that way change sides would make you very, very sad. There's a lot of, if you're resistant to all sorts of damage and you're resistant to being punched in the face, as lictors are, MR checks are like the last option for a lot of nations to counter anything that's particularly hard to kill in Dominion. So having a little bit of MR makes perfect sense to me.
And that's I just it was kind of counterintuitive because I'm sitting there going like they want to take damage. You don't want MR, and then
Yeah, but you don't want to get soul slayed, or you don't want to get enslaved, or you don't want to get there's a lot of things that check your MR that will instantly kill you. So yeah, sure, being banished and having 8 damage done to you isn't going to kill Lictor and might kill the priest. But as soon as those priests are replaced with a communion that is throwing multiple high penetration enslave or check or die spells at you, those lictors are going away. And that's a problem for Ermor in this build because remember, you've just told me that's all he has. He has no research, he has no economy, he has no long-term plan, he has lictors. And if anything comes out that can counter those lictors, his game is over.
How scary would you say that his build is in this game? How much of a threat is he to winning the game, Perun?
I would see it as unlikely.
It's a 9-person game. Just
I don't think you can win a 9-person game before the other people are going to have, someone will have enough research to roll you back. That said, if you spawn next to him in this scenario, then your chances of winning the game go down significantly, unless you can talk your way out of it.
So Armor's biggest threat is an Alm through him. It's Scalaria, and it's the Scalaria that has been left alone all game long.
Then he won't beat them. Ermor can't beat a Scalaria that's been left alone for even a moderate amount of time.
It's one of the reasons why I don't like allowing Airmore in the game, and I'm probably not going to allow the next one that we cast. I wanted Airmore in the first one, but I don't really like Airmores in games because of what you said, Perun. He's not likely to win, and he reduces the chance of his neighbors winning. And whether you're a neighbor to Airmore or not is a random roll. And that
but
just
if your neighbor Ashdod, then you're in this, or Nazca, you're in the same position. The only difference is they might win the game.
Yeah, Ashdod kind of died like a wet sack of potatoes in this game. He attacked the berserking elf nation, and it went south hard.
So let's move on to turn 29 and actually accomplish 2. I'm used to a rowdier bunch of co-hosts. You guys are being all civil-like. Perun, you've instilled civility in us.
You told us to be efficient.
Okay, we're doing it today. I'm really impressed. Okay, so we've got Airmore's new stack.
We've got actually show Perun the Bless. I think I missed something from it.
Okay, let's look into this. It's actually one of the things I want to talk about. So we'll look at the Bless when we do this one. A raid has gone terribly wrong against PD Dump. Here's a couple of lictors just raiding. It's a counter raid. Oh boy, we've got the big Pangea. We might not actually get to the. Okay, Vanheim is hitting indies again. Scalaria is still going underwater unchecked. Statist takes the forts today, and that's it. So I want to go to the. Let's first look at the Airmorian attack.
Why is this army so big?
Because he's fighting him through a 2-province choke.
Fine, awesome. Sorry, I just needed that background.
No, I want to ask you why
he's got a lake that he could go through with everything but the lictors, but that's fine.
What do you mean by that, dude? I want you to go further in on that, Perun. What do you mean? Like, why are you asking why is it this big?
An army should never be any bigger than it needs to be to accomplish its objective, because there's always the chance someone is going to drop a counter on you and wipe the whole thing. So an army should not be bigger than it needs to be.
What do you mean by this? Like, what do you mean by like too big? What would be your definition of too big?
Well,
I'm sorry.
okay. If I want to crack a fort and it has 250 walls and 100 siege defense, I don't need 1,000 siege power on it. That's just asking for trouble. And with skeletons, I wonder what can you accomplish with 900 skeletons that 500 can't accomplish, for example?
So you think he should be breaking this off and hitting multiple fronts at the same time?
Yes, but
Yes.
Styles just told me he's going through a choke, which explains why this is all grouped up. I assume if he breaks through the choke, he'll split up.
Now, what happens
Except
when
he
Van?
could avoid the choke if he broke off the lictors into a separate stack. The choke is a 3-province lake that is owned by Indies.
Oh, then he should go through that.
Why? Should he be scared of Van's army? I mean, if he runs across Van's army and he's got a little army, wouldn't Van's big army crush his little army?
He's got 88 lictors and 68 knights. There's nothing Van can throw at him that will kill this easily and cheaply.
But if it was broken into 2 pieces, would it be easier?
Still probably not doable. I mean, the problem is with Zan, you can't
no.
tell, but yeah, this half of this would probably be just as much of a main battle army as this one stack is.
So you think half of this would cause enough attrition that even if it was one big battle compared to 2 separate, that Aramor would still come out ahead?
100%.
What is Aramore's goal in this war? I mean, what is his objective? Because I know that there's sometimes where you try to take over everything, and there's other nations where you just try to take the cap. What is Aramore's goal in this, Ballin?
Well, you can see from the world map after this battle, Aramor only has 5 forts, I think. So he needs money. Like, he needed money 20 turns ago. He needs money. Like, look at his cap circle. Well, that's about it. That's all. But all his forts are in his cap circle, and there's 1 farm. So he's got no income at all, and he needs more forts, more labs, more temples, just more of everything. And Mannheim has all of that stuff with income.
Like 2 or 3 turns ago, this was at like 200 income or something ridiculous like that, and it's almost gone at this point.
When you tank every scale, you have like, I think, a negative 30-something, 39% income.
Gee, that's absurd. And so he's finally getting his candles here. Zan, when do you raid and when do you aim for the cap?
Yes.
But,
You
well,
should
yeah,
always, if you have the cap in range like he does here, I mean, just I haven't seen like the previous turns or not, but going off Perun's, like all those provinces along the mountain range, that should all be Armorian.
Yeah.
Just easily. There's no forts there. That should all be Armorian. And then there should be some sizable contingent walking straight to the castles.
So you think we should have raiding, and then just a big old stack going right down the road, or I guess down this road.
Yes, he has 1,000 troops going down the road. He could easily put 400 of that into separate raiding parties and start hitting all of those adjacent provinces at the same time. And if
Now,
one of those runs into a van, oh well.
Following up on that, when he gets to this fort, should he take the fort or should he keep moving on to the cap?
He already owns that fort. Van hasn't taken it back yet.
I guess what I'm asking is, was this a good idea? Should he have stopped and, wasted a turn to take this fort, or should he have kept on going then?
I personally think it's a great idea because look at all those Elvish troops that are now just stuck sitting outside that fort doing nothing, and you know that odds are they're going to keep doing nothing. They're going to keep just sitting there sieging. So you've displaced a huge army. Now you can go sit on the other fort.
Do you think that this is Van's correct choice to retake the fort, or should they be out raiding Aramor and fighting his army?
Well, that's a 210-ish gold province for Ermor that he can collect income in because it's forted. So it's a catch-22. Do I want to let Ermor have this money and a fort in my cap circle, or do I want to crush another 1,000 undead? And the choice you have to make in the moment.
What would your choice be?
I personally would have saw if I could 1-turn pop it, I'd take it. If not, I would leave a scout on it and try and kill another stack of undead.
So we're gonna go into his army real quick and see what his bless is. See if there's anything awesome that we missed on it, and I know we did. There's one thing I want to ask you, and I'm gonna leave this to Perun. Why in the world? Why would you take Berserker on Airmorian troops?
To keep the few things that do have morale from running away. To keep them in the fight, preferably until the turn timer. So there might be things that you can kill that you can now take to turn timer, because you have commanders and you have sacreds that will stick around until the entire battlefield explodes. So if you can't kill it by hitting it with an axe, if you can't kill it with death magic, if you can't kill it with Horde of Skeletons, you can kill it by taking it to the turn timer. Plus you counter all the things that would normally make your troops run away, but I can definitely see an argument for being able to turn timer things.
I was apparently wrong about his bless. This isn't the version with resistances. He's got no resistances to anything.
Oh,
okay, then my attitude towards this army just changed. I'm getting a center point mage with a bunch of MR and toughness and HP and regen, and I am casting a battlefield wipe.
What we did with this was because if you look where he's keeping his lictors, I was playing as I'm playing as Asphodel against him. We put a single pan one of the pans when they die, one of the pandemics they die, they turn into this twice born undead thing.
Carrion Lords?
We got one. Yeah, we put him in front with a bunch of armor and absolutely nothing other than the armor, and then these guys surrounded him. The pan couldn't kill anything, and we just went to turn timer. Because the lictors couldn't get to him, zerking's not going to matter because, let's be honest, you only zerk if you get damaged, and my pan's not hurting anybody. And, and eventually they all just routed, and what's funny is that when it goes to turn timer, everything dies except for the lictors and the commanders, which run away. And so he could lose an entire army. Now, I screwed up, or actually the scripting went really weird, and we weren't able to pull it off, but theoretically, if you had, a big super combatant, there's no killing power up front. These guys are literally meant to take damage. So he's got some other problems here as well, but what's interesting is that if it goes to turn timer, lictors will run, and you'll get to keep them. What's another way that you can do morale play with this? I guess I'm going to leave this open because I don't actually know if there is an answer. How else can you play morale play against lictors?
I mean, you technically could Wailing Winds them and then Blood Range with Dark Skies up and just cast MR reducing spells the entire time, and maybe you'll get lucky. But if you have all of that, as well as the global up, you really have fewer problems than this stack of lictors.
Okay, we're going to move on, because there's one battle that I really, really wanted to see, and that's this one right here. Now, I do want to preface this by saying that I think Han was supposed to bring more to this fight. Now, I'm gonna hand this over to Zan real quick. Who do you think's gonna win this, Zan?
Oof, I'm probably wrong, but I don't know the bless on Marignon. It's probably some super killy thing, so it just depends. Can the white centaurs on the Pangean right flank kill the back line before their front line disappears?
Now, here's the fun thing.
So I'm going to give you some prefix.
Yeah.
Marignon does not have a super killy bless. I told him to take one, and he's like, nah, I got this. And he also forgot that Han has fire resistance 15 in his bless. So that's all the preference you need to know for this battle.
Oh, then yeah, if those knights can't HP route Pan, then they're dead.
Okay, this is what I like, because we have got 3 players that are very experienced, and when Ballin said they've got fire resist on it, I heard 2 people say, oh no. I want you to go in on that, because it's, if you have a newer player and you're just like, oh, he's got fire resist, oh, the fire, yeah, I'm sure that's bad. What exactly, and you got these mages up front. Why would you put your mages up front? Perun, what's up with this whole thing, and why are you guys saying, oh no?
Quick question, does Pan have magic weapons?
Yes, I think.
Okay, so it's slightly less devastating, but
yes, they do.
If I'm seeing fire mages up front and I'm seeing this giant pool of Maenads, and I'm seeing in the future of these Maenads full-size fire elementals appearing in their path and melting through all of them, causing a chain HP route across the Pan forces. That's what I would be worried about, looking at this positioning from Marignon. Marignon's very one-dimensional. They have fire, they have sacreds, and you're pretty much at the list of what they've got at that point. So I would be expecting fire evocations or fire elementals, and fire elementals make Maenads very, very, very sad.
What makes fire elementals
white
so dangerous against them? Like what is the danger of it?
Fire shield plus an AoE attack against something that has very little prot and no HP. But what Pan would be relying on now that we know they have their bless is the white centaurs are really quick. They can get up. They can not get slaughtered by the fire elementals. They can kill them quite efficiently if they've got magic weapons and a fire resistance. So the Maenads may not be completely slaughtered. Yeah, no, with a fire resistance bless, I instantly thought the white centaurs are going to get in front. They're going to contact the fire elementals. They're going to kill them. They're going to save the Maenads, and this battle is going to be over. That's my prediction looking at this. I'm sure you're going to hit play, and I'm going to seem very, very wrong. But that's why I said, oh no, because suddenly there was a counter to the best thing that Marignon can do.
That's what I like about
Grandpa
Dominion.
put his, I believe Grandpa Jared put his centaurs on hold and attack Perun, if I remember this turn correctly.
Why?
We don't question things. We just talk about things.
The centaurs should be okay. The centaurs should be protecting the Maenad horde. The Maenad horde should be there to, like, if the centaurs are fire resistance, then the Maenads don't need to catch evocations because the evocations are going to be fire evos. The Maenads should be siege chaff and they should be hidden away.
This is a little bit of a tangent here, but I did like how you say we don't question anything, but we did question what was it, death searching?
We questioned Grandpa's god that I gave him. We don't question things anymore after that.
But I think Novell got to finally watch that episode where we questioned why he was using dark knowledge on every single province.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
that was a fun episode.
I feel really bad because he's finally watched it, and we're like, oh my goodness, no, that's terrible. Oh man, that's bad. And it's something that I'm sure that if you watch one of my episodes, and there's no way I'm ever going in an omniscience game ever, because I know that it's going to be like, why the crap did Dardamos do this? That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But I mean, I feel like I have my screw ups as well. How do you catch those screw ups? How do you self-assess yourself? I'm going to go to Perun on this one. How do you self-assess yourself?
I record my games and post them, and other people critique my mistakes. And as a result, I learn very quickly. That's my philosophy. That's why I originally started recording. Having a team in a Disciples game is another good way to do that. Having other people to catch your mistakes. And finally, developing like a checklist for how you do your turns. What are the things you check for? What order do you set your move, your build, your scripting, etc., to minimize the chance of mistakes? This fight here, I'll stop questioning in the future, but this fight here, I'd hit the point on my checklist being like, what am I likely to encounter? And if I have any intelligence at all on Marignon, I'm probably going to suggest fire magic as the biggest threat. And the Maenads HP routing me is going to be my biggest concern. So I would move my Maenads and my Mage Core back. I would move my Centaurs forward, and that would be that.
Zan, what do you do in order to get to figure out what your mistakes are? I mean, how do you self-assess?
So I haven't started recording my stuff yet, but obviously New Castings was recorded, so I watched every episode and analyzed every mistake or good thing I made whenever Lucid or Sakane said I did something good. Other than that, I blow up Dardamos and Ballin's inboxes with questions.
Ballin, what about you? How do you self-assess?
I don't. I do the turn. I was like, yeah, it looks good enough. Press end turn, and then if I'm in Disciples, I'll get a Disciple or my Pretender run at me like, you forgot to send Earth Gems, or where's the 150 Astral Pearls you promised me last turn, or XYZ, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I meant to do that, but I just didn't.
Those centaurs have mass flight. Why didn't you cast Storm?
Okay, Gath has no air mages, Zan. What do you want me to do?
So, what's really interesting is that after my first game, I got the smartest guy that was on. Oh, Sakane's on. Hi, Sakane.
Hey, what's up, guys?
We're gonna toss this question to you. How do you self-assess?
I try to, when I record, if I'm lucky enough to be doing a game where I'm recording it as I'm playing it, I tend to catch a lot more mistakes. Otherwise, it's like 3 months later after the game's already over, I'm like, oh, well, apparently we did this. And that's bad because this is about to happen.
My first
recording.
go
ahead.
My first game that I ever watched of yours was your Man series, where Lucid was playing Scaleria, and I think during that series you were talking to Lucid, and you brought up that Lucid was actually pointing out some of your mistakes, correct?
Yeah, probably. I think what I remember talking to him mostly was we were trying to figure out a way to deal with. Well, I was dealing. That was a rough game because I think Yeast attacked me. And so it's like, how does MA Man defend against Yeast? And the answer is you don't, you just cry. And then after that, I was attacked by MA Agartha, which is also a pretty good matchup against Man. And especially in particular, he had this thug that was very hard for me to deal with. And so we were mainly trying to figure out things that I could do to try to, counter those specific threats. So that's a huge advantage too, is to be part of one of the Dominion's communities. And when you're in a game and you're encountering something that's giving you trouble, there's probably, like, now I know a lot of the things, but at the time I didn't, right? And so by talking, in that case it was to Lucid, but also to other players. I forget who it was, but the player who was playing Marignon I had also chatted with, and we were trying to come up with solutions. So talking to other players and getting ideas, you can think of things that you hadn't thought of before.
I miss the days of Charge Body Zan, not Charge Body Zan, Charge Body Stack. I miss those days.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I communicate with Ballin and Dardamos and the others. Is I'll take a screenshot of whatever ridiculous things in front of me and send it to them and just be like, how do I kill this? No context, just how does this die?
Well, what was really interesting, my first game that I ever played, we were a bunch of newer players, and there was one player that expanded amazingly. And that's one of the things that I feel I'm really strong is expanding very well. So I expanded well, he expanded well, and then I didn't know what to do with my expansion. So I got stuck. It was a new player problem that I didn't know what to, I got all this gold and all these toys. I don't know what to do with them. And the other player was experienced to know that he would just go from person to person and just eat. And he was such a good player, and, I didn't know exactly, how to counter him. And he ended up winning the game because there was nothing I could do to stop him. And what I did is I messaged him and I said, the next Disciples game that comes up, we're playing together. I said, I don't care when it is, just tell me when it is, and we're going to play together. And I want to say that was my Yomi game that's actually on my channel. It's back when my sound was terrible, but the Yomi game was literally me learning how to play Dominion. And he would come in and we would talk back and forth. And through that, what's really interesting is that's Coconut. It's, Vish the Fish was his name back then. And he taught me systematically how to thug, how to be aggressive, what to do with the lead, and what to research, and what to build. I mean, I had no clue what you build on thugs, and he just 2 swords of swiftness and boots of quickness, and you'll just hit them 6 times a turn or 8 times a turn. And it was really interesting to me how he did that. So that would be my suggestion. Oh, well, we gotta push play. So, okay, so we think that fire elementals kill the main ads, and then the white pants are gonna wreck base, correct?
Actually, given the position, even if he summons, because he's going to do summon firepower turn 1, and so there's only 2 turns of hold and attack, and the centaurs are fast enough that they only need 1 turn to get in front of the maenads. Although the maenads aren't disciplined, they're going to run forward. I still think the centaurs are probably going to get there pretty fast. It's a race.
We got Howl out.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, I gotta slow this down. Oh, jeez, what was that? What was
that
the red?
Bloodletting?
No, it's probably Curse of Stones.
Was it Curse of Stones? Encumbrance, Severe Heat. Should I?
Hell?
Icon.
Curse of Stones doesn't like show on.
Okay, let me see this again. That's for me. That's Blood Rain, but that's way too early in the game. Okay, we have Howl. And Swarm. Okay, so who's doing Swarm? Okay, so the Pans are doing Swarm.
Yeah, it has to be Panchia.
Oh,
Curse
you're
of
right.
Stones.
It is Curse of Stones. Okay, who is Demokun and who is casting? Actually,
Well, it's a Pan. It has to be. I mean, Mary doesn't have Earth magic, so it's a Pan.
They have Earth 1
Okay.
on an Astral Mage, so technically they could
Yeah.
get it.
yeah, probably not. Okay, so we got Curse of Stone. Why is Curse of Stone being used? That seems really weird.
Because he had a bunch of Earth gems and he didn't have anything better to do with them. It's MR negates easily, so it doesn't hit a lot. In my opinion, you're better off using those Earth gems. It's alteration, so you're better off doing like a Maws of the Earth or something like that.
Ballin, can you give me the rundown on what Curse of Stone is? Ballin?
Curse of Stones, I believe it just adds fatigue, slows down combat speed, stuff like that.
Okay, why would you cast it as Pan?
I don't know. I, like Zach said, would be casting Maws of the Earth.
Okay, so we don't know why he's casting it other than big magic must be good.
It's we can
Oh my
I can
goodness.
talk over as we continue, but literally
Is
what
there
it does.
any way... Sorry guys, let me turn down my volume on the Dominion. I actually can't hear anybody talking on.
Oh,
I'm also not seeing a single fire elemental and just seeing fire evils. I am super
Yeah.
sad right now.
yeah, that is very strange.
We've
Oh,
got
I
our
lied.
first
One.
Is that a big one?
And
It's
it's
a
a
little
size
one,
3.
isn't it?
Maybe Fire Elemental.
So maybe his guys in front didn't even have fire gems, in which case he wasn't planning to do fire elementals at all.
Maybe he's
Or there
got
was
fire
weird-
gems.
Yeah, but on an F1, it's not enough.
A mercy brand.
A
Oh,
Marignon
okay.
specific one.
But okay, is this worth it?
You get Inquisitor on or add fear to a thug. It's potentially worth it. How much fear do you want?
I would do it for the Inquisitor on an H4, H5 if I'm trying to dom kill someone, but I think Marignon already gets those.
I
Okay,
think
so we
they're
got
Holy 3 or Holy 2.
we got elephants in the air getting back, but he got intercepted before getting to the mages. Okay, we do have some more elementals off to the side, but the Maenads are starting to get just evaporated at this point.
Why are the Centaurs in attack closest?
Yeah,
That's a good question as well.
This isn't great scripting. I think necessarily
Well-
from either side.
While we're talking about that, we'll go into why is that not great script.
Well, so I think it looked like he had one giant group, one giant line of white centaurs, all on like attack closest. But if you have fast units like attack centaurs, you basically do want to try and attack rear. Now, maybe not always, but that's certainly going to be your default choice. You have to have a reason not to do that. So maybe
And-
in this case, you would make 3 groups, have one line in front to catch elementals, and then 2 attack rear blobs. Looks like he has 75. Oh, that's plenty. You could do like 20 on each side, a little box blob attack rear, and then you have 40 or something in the middle in a line to catch the
Okay.
elementals.
So we talked about this last time that Maenads are renewable resources. They cost. I mean, they're absolutely free. We lost 281 of them, but I mean, who cares? They're only Maenads. You get them back all the time. Perun, why is it bad that he lost the Maenads? Why would it matter that he lost the Maenads? Why are we arguing about he should have kept his Maenads alive? Why is that?
Because he's 2 provinces away from Marignon itself, and if I want to be sieging a fort, that's all. Like a bunch of my siege strength just died, and it died when it didn't need to. You're worried about it in battle because it might HP route the rest of your stuff that is actually dangerous. But when you get back to the strategic map, having all your siege strength disappear, or a lot of it disappear, is really inconvenient. He can't just get 500 new Maenads in that province. Well, maybe he can. I can see a big stack and reserve 2 provinces over.
Two provinces with roads over.
Yeah, but that's not always going to be the case. And as much as they're renewable, that doesn't mean they have no value.
That's a really interesting thing. And when I was playing as, like, I got to play as EA Pan, and my first, like, my screw up was, like, I was like, oh man, these are, I can save 2 white centaurs, and my white centaurs are awesome, so I should probably throw away the 200 Maenad. But then I got in a fort, and, those two white centaurs aren't going to help me knock down the walls. How much should you protect your siege chaff compared to your main troops? Zan, let's go with you on this one.
If you can, so if I remember correctly, that was Marignon was sieging that fort. I don't know if I would have brought Maenads in the first place to that fight. I would have kept them because, and you asked me this earlier on how much do you do the death ball and stuff. I wouldn't have even brought them to that fight because now the next turn I would get that army of centaurs and put it on all of those bordering provinces and have a big stack going straight for that Marignon capital. And that's where those Maenads would come in. Because you don't need the Maenads to break that palisade. But for that citadel, oh yeah. I wouldn't have even used them.
Go ahead, Ballin.
So an example of me doing this, which Perun can see, is we got a Disciples game, and I've got a stack of 120 Atlanteans that were starving, but I moved them onto a fort to pop it, and then I moved them off a fort because I'm not storming it with them.
So
the chaff doesn't need to be in the army, and if the chaff had been there, then the fact that they're starving means that they're in danger of morale routing everything else. But we keep piles of crap around behind the lines to step forward, break the walls, and then let their betters storm them.
So they're like the battering ram. Once you break the door down, you don't bring the battering ram with you inside the fort. You leave it there and then you storm it. Is that correct?
And you have terrible results if you try and bring it inside.
Yeah. Okay,
Fort
boys
battles
on
are
3,
the worst
pick it up.
places for chaff.
In the perfect
guys.
world, you have one super combatant storm every single fort that is personally designed to kill everything in that fort, and that is all you bring.
So we went through 2 turns, and we went a little bit longer, but we got through 2 turns. So yay! Thank you guys so much for joining, and thank you for helping me be successful in getting through 2 turns. I've got a lot of people asking about the next game. I'm probably not going to start up the next game until we get about 10 turns away from this one ending, because I don't want to. I don't want to get even farther behind. But Ballin, thank you so much for joining up with me. I know that you actually kept me on track a little bit better this time, so I really appreciate that.
No worries, I'm here to help.
Novell, sorry that we weren't able to get you in. Somehow you snuck in here and I didn't see you. So, thanks for joining us, Novell.
Hey man, everything's okay. It's no big deal.
Perun, thanks for joining us for the first time. I really appreciate you joining with us, and the fresh perspective was really awesome. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Appreciate being here.
Sack, again, as always, really cool for you to join in. I really appreciate your joining us.
Yeah, I always like to come in the last 2 minutes. My pleasure.
Zan, thanks again for joining us. I know that you always said that you're a newer player, but what's really interesting is that you still have the same reactions as the veterans, and I don't know if you're there yet, but if you're not there yet already, I think you're getting there very quickly. So awesome to have you on the show again.
Thank you. Love being here.
Okay, guys. Well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.